What up, Space Fam? Gozen here from Anime Uproar, and today we're going to be talking about arguably the coolest clan in Naruto, the Uchihas. I made this video because you guys really liked the All 7 Hokage and their powers explained video and suggested this topic in the comments of that one. So same thing here, if you want to keep seeing Naruto videos on the channel, make sure to turn that like button blue and share this video with your Naruto friends. As soon as the video hits 4,000 likes, I'll get started on the next one ASAP. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe, and this is crucial, hit that notification bell or you will miss future Naruto videos on the channel. Like last time, leave suggestions for videos about different clans or characters you want to see in the comments, and it may just be the next Naruto video you see. Keep in mind, all spoilers are fair game. You've been warned. Now without further ado, let's jump into it. The Uchiha clan was called by Kakashi the most elite family in the Hidden Leaf village. The Uchiha were a rival clan to the Senju clan until they decided to come together and form the Hidden Leaf village. Because of the Uchiha incident where Itachi and Tobi took out almost the entire clan, there are few Uchiha left. I'm not going to get into too much detail here, but Itachi Uchiha did it A, because the Uchiha were planning a coup, and B, to save the life of his little brother Sasuke. Itachi then took on the role of villain in the public's eye, even though he was secretly the hero of the Hidden Leaf village and the savior of his little brother Sasuke. The Uchiha clan are descendants of Indra Otsutsuki, the older son of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, aka the Sage of Six Paths. Like Indra, the Uchiha tend to be associated with powerful emotions, a so-called curse of hatred, the idea of peace through power rather than peace through love, and the now famous Sharingan. Their Sharingans let them see chakra, use genjutsu, copy the techniques of their opponents, and more. The Sharingan can evolve into the more powerful Mangekyo Sharingan and even into a Rinnegan, but we'll get more into those details later. Notably, the Uchiha are also known for flexing on their opponents with their legendary fire release techniques. But back to Indra, the ancestor of the Uchihas, for a second. Indra's younger brother Asura was chosen to succeed his father, and the Senju clan came from him. Obviously, Indra was not happy with his father's decision, and the clash between the two brothers with their different powers and ideologies continued even after their deaths through their descendants. Now let's get into some specific Uchihas and their unique powers. Keep in mind, I won't mention every Uchiha ever to appear in a manga panel, but rather I'll be focusing on every notable Uchiha whose power has been revealed. First off, let's look at Itachi Uchiha, fan favorite and definitely a contender for the best big bro in all of anime. I'll be paying special attention to Mangekyo Sharingans in this video, since each one has a unique, interesting power, and Itachi had awakened it. The Mangekyo Sharingan is an advanced form or evolved form of the Sharingan. The Mangekyo Sharingan pattern looks different depending on the person. It is activated when a user witnesses the death of someone close to them, and for Itachi, that was the death of his best friend Shisui Uchiha. The Uchihas have mistakenly believed that you have to actually kill the person closest to you in order to activate it, but that's not actually the case. The activation might not happen right after the trauma, but even weeks later. The Mangekyo Sharingan is a huge strain on the user and will eventually lead to blindness. This blindness can be avoided if the user obtains the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan by transplanting the eyes of another close Uchiha, preferably that of a sibling. In Itachi's case, his left eye can use Tsukuyomi, which has been referred to as the most powerful genjutsu. It allows Itachi to alter his victim's perception of time. By doing so, he can subject people to days of torture in just a few seconds. Itachi uses Tsukuyomi on Kakashi, so Kakashi experiences 72 hours of continually being stabbed. However, Tsukuyomi doesn't have to be used for just torture. In one of the most romantic moments ever, Itachi used it on Izumi Uchiha, a girl who loved him, before she died, so that she'd experience a long, happy life. She died in a moment, but she experienced marrying Itachi, having kids, and growing old. When she finally died in the illusion, she died in the real world too, where only a second had passed. That's some deep stuff. Itachi's right eye can use Amaterasu, which creates inextinguishable black flames. Amaterasu is considered to be the highest level of fire release. It's OP AF until it stops working on villains, like the Otsutsukis. Originally, we were told that the black flames never go out until they have burned their target to ash. However, the user can put out the flames if he so chooses. When one awakens both their Mangekyo eyes, like Itachi, they can use Susanoo. Susanoo is called by Sasuke Sasuke an absolute defense that is even greater than Gaara's famous absolute defense. Sort of like Naruto in the Nine-Tailed Fox, users of the Susanoo can be suspended in it as they control the giant chakra avatar, kind of like a mecha. Itachi Susanoo possesses the sword of Totsuka, which is capable of sealing the enemy it pierces. It comes out of a jar, and those it pierces will be drawn into the jar and trapped in a genjutsu of drunken dreams forever. The sword can also be used as a regular sword, so it has versatility in that regard. Itachi's Susanoo also has the Yata mirror, a shield that is said to deflect all things. With this combination, Black Zetsu says that Itachi was invincible. Even with Itachi's terminal illness, he could have still beat Sasuke in their fight if he actually wanted to. Eventually, Sasuke takes Itachi's eyes in order to attain the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi was also very fast and skilled in taijutsu. He would summon crows and even use them to create clones of himself. He was skilled with a sword, kunai, and he notably mastered the Uchiha clan's Great Fireball technique at a very young age. And as we know, he was always regarded as a genius and one of the best users of genjutsu. There are obviously even more details that one can mention about Itachi, but because of the nature of this video, which is about highlighting a number of people, I'm going to move on. If you guys want to see a video entirely devoted to Itachi, let me know in the comments below. Next, let's look at the god of shinobi's greatest rival, Madara Uchiha, the meteoric legend himself. Imagine the pinnacle of the Uchiha clan with some Hashirama cells and truth-seeking orbs thrown in, and you get a very OP villain. Yes, our main character surpassed him eventually, but it's a shonen, so you can't really hold that against him. Madara was actually the first Uchiha to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. Although some believe that Madara took his brother Izuna's eyes by force, he actually got the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan when his dying brother willingly offered him his eyes so that he could use them to help protect the Uchihas. Madara's perfect Susanoo is huge, and with its katana-like blades, it can easily cut through mountains. Madara boasts that a single stroke of his Susanoo's blade contains enough power to smash all things in the universe. His Susanoo practically had the 5 Kage shaking in their boots. Unfortunately, we don't know what his unique Mangekyo powers are, but we do know that his Mangekyo Sharingans evolved into Renegans, which are called by Jiraiya the most noble of the 3 great ocular jutsu, which also include the Sharingan and the Byakugan. The Sage of Six Paths, the father of all shinobi, was the first to obtain the Renegan, and its power is legendary. Those who have it are either expected to calm the world or reduce it to nothingness. The Renegan allows one to use the Six Paths technique, through which they can attract things, repel things, mechanically enhance their bodies, read people's minds and yank out their souls, summon multiple creatures, absorb chakra, summon the King of Hell, revive the dead, and even more. With his Renegan, Madara could create shadows of himself in a limbo world that coexists with the physical world. With 2 Renegans, he can create up to 4 shadows. They have his powers and they are invisible in the real world, but they can actually attack opponents or defend against their attacks. So to outsiders, it just looks like they're getting beaten up by nobody, or like Madara has an invisible barrier around him. Unfortunately for Madara, Sasuke's Renegan can see the shadows, and Six Paths Sage Mode Naruto can sense them. In the past, Madara transplanted his Renegan eyes into a child Nagato, but eventually got them back. As the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki, with 2 Renegan eyes, Madara was able to awaken the Rinne Sharingan on his forehead, which lets one use the moon to cast infinite Tsukuyomi on the people of the world. Plus, he could use the roots of the God Tree to ensnare his genjutsu victims and siphon chakra off of them. Not to mention, Madara also had truth-seeking orbs at one point, which can nullify ninjutsu or can just be used to defend and attack with style. There's so much more that can be explored about this Hashirama cell having meteor dropping, all nature transformations using, Ten-Tails and Renegan possessing Mad Lad, but that's its own long video, and once again, if you want a dedicated video about any of these guys, let me know in the comments below. Next, let's look at Obito Uchiha, the childhood friend and rival of Kakashi turned Madara impersonator. He awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan when Rin Nohara, the girl he loved, died. Obito just had one of his eyes at the time, while Kakashi had the other. Both eyes awakened at the same time. Both eyes can use Kamui, a space-time ninjutsu that lets the user transfer objects to and from another dimension. Obito's right eye is able to transfer parts of the user's body or their entire body to the other dimension, so that attacks appear to simply pass through the user's body. In this way, Obito's body can be completely intangible, and as a result, he can pass through walls or even the ground. He can only keep his body completely intangible for around 5 minutes, and he cannot teleport in this state. Thus, when he solidifies in preparation for teleportation, he is vulnerable. He can transfer himself or others to the Kamui dimension by sucking them into his eye, but it appears like they have to be close to him. He can also enter the Kamui dimension and return to any location he pleases, so in a way it's like an improved Flying Thunder God technique where you don't have to use pre-existing marks. The Kamui dimension can store weapons that Obito could launch at opponents, or he could use the dimension as a safe place to retreat to, since the only way to get there is by using Obito's eyes. People he transfers to that dimension have no way out unless they have access to one of his eyes. In contrast, the left eye has more of a long-range focus. It can create a barrier space around an object in the distance and teleport it to the Kamui dimension. The object is sucked into the barrier space rather than into the eye. When Kakashi first starts using it, he tends to have trouble with accuracy and often misses his target. He also has trouble creating a big enough barrier space. However, eventually he becomes skilled enough to warp flying weapons and to create large barriers. Kakashi even figures out how to create the barrier around himself. In doing so, he can transport himself into the Kamui dimension and thus also make use of teleportation. The more chakra you have, the better you can make use of these powers. When Kakashi received some Nine-Tails chakra, he said that Kamui was 3 times more powerful and he could even transport 8 tails in and out of the Kamui dimension. So yeah, Obito's Kamui is potentially very strong, especially in the hands of an Uchiha who wouldn't drain chakra using it as fast as Kakashi. When both eyes use Kamui at the same time, Kamui will be performed at double the speed, and with both of Obito's eyes, the user can use Susanoo. When Kakashi uses the full body Susanoo, he is able to launch giant Kamui Shuriken, which will teleport targets to the Kamui dimension on contact. Because Obito's body contained white Zetsu matter and white Zetsu matter was partially derived from Hashirama's DNA, Obito could perform Wood Release, the first Hokage's OP nature transformation Kekkei that combined earth and water. He also got to use Madara's Rinnegan for a time, and he got to flex on people as the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki with his own truth-seeking orbs. At the height of Obito's power, even the first Hokage, the so-called God of Shinobi, was like, yep, that dude is stronger than me. So props to Obito, who started out as a sort of screw-up compared to the more naturally talented Kakashi. For now, let's move on to Sasuke Uchiha, our protagonist's main friend and rival throughout the series. He awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan after his brother died. With his left eye, he can use Amaterasu, and with his right eye, he can manipulate the black flames or put them out. As mentioned, he took his brother's eyes and awakened the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, so he doesn't have to worry about vision loss anymore. Eventually, he gained half of the Sage of Six Paths chakra, and as a result, his left eye evolved into a Rinnegan. Sasuke's Rinnegan lets him shift himself between spaces, aka teleport, to a nearby place. If he chooses a space being occupied, he swaps places with that person or thing. He can also create portals into different dimensions. Obviously, with 2 Mangekyo Sharingan eyes, Sasuke can use Susanoo. With his Rinnegan, he can use the wings of his Susanoo to block out the infinite Tsukuyomi. Sasuke can also use his signature move Chidori through his Susanoo. The giant Chidori could match the power of a Biju ball from Naruto's Nine-Tails. Sasuke's Susanoo also possesses a bow, and he can strengthen the projectiles by mixing in black flames or lightning. Just like Madara has wrapped his Susanoo around the Nine-Tails in the past, Sasuke has similarly wrapped his Susanoo around Naruto's Nine-Tails, which is one of my favorite combos in the series. Along with Naruto, Sasuke is considered to be the strongest shinobi. Naruto and Sasuke's combined power is considered to be able to destroy the world, which may not be a big deal in Dragon Ball, but it sure is in Naruto. Sasuke lost an arm like Naruto in the series, but that hasn't slowed him down or made him weaker in Boruto. He could potentially use an artificial arm like Naruto, but it seems like he doesn't even want to bother with that at this point. Next, let's look at Shisui Uchiha, Itachi's homeboy. Shisui awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan after his own friend and teammate died on a dangerous mission. With each of his eyes, Shisui could use Koto Amatsu Kami, a subtle mind control genjutsu. It is such a top tier genjutsu that the victim never even catches on to being manipulated. The target believes that they are choosing to act in accordance with their own free will. For these reasons, it's been called the ultimate genjutsu. A Byakugan can catch the genjutsu being used though. Perhaps because it's so powerful, this genjutsu can usually only be used once every 10 or more years. However, there is a loophole. If you have Hashirama chakra, you can use the genjutsu more often. Even with his Hashirama cells, Danzo says that it's not a genjutsu he can use many times a day, but he can clearly use it way more frequently than once a decade. At one point, Shisui wanted to use this genjutsu to avoid the Uchiha clan downfall, but his right eye was stolen by Danzo, who definitely wasn't a fan of that plan. Danzo used it over the years to do shady Danzo things, while the other eye was given to Itachi. Itachi put in a crow and then put the crow in Naruto. Weird, I know. When Naruto saw Sasuke with his transplanted Itachi eyes, the crow would have convinced Sasuke to save Konoha rather than to attack it. However, due to the Edo Tensei, it ended up being used on Itachi himself. Both Danzo and Itachi destroyed the eyes so nobody else could use them. That's how dangerous even these experienced and skilled fighters consider them to be. We don't see Shisui's Susanoo in action in any canon materials, but in the Naruto games, he has a green version that has a drill-like lance, and it can also shoot chakra needles at opponents. Lastly, I'll point out that Shisui had much more going for him than just his mind control. In the manga, Shisui was said to be one of the most talented Uchiha and the best ever at teleportation. However, Shisui used insane speed to seemingly teleport. Notably, his body flicker or teleportation technique is not actually a space-time ninjutsu like Sasuke's space-shifting ability. Next, let's look at Sarada Uchiha, the daughter of our boy Sasuke and one of the main characters of the Boruto series. Like Naruto did, she wants to become Hokage, and Boruto wants to become a great shinobi so he can support her. Sarada has yet to awaken her Mangekyo Sharingan, so we don't know what her unique Mangekyo powers will be, but she is skilled with her Sharingan. She can use her eyes to do regular Sharingan things like cast genjutsu, dispel genjutsu, see chakra, and copy techniques. She's also been able to use her Sharingan like a microscope in order to clearly see something as small as viruses. She has Sakura's devastatingly powerful punches, having learned how to focus chakra into her fists. Sarada is known as being the best among her peers at throwing kunai. Notably, she can already use the Uchiha's Great Fireball technique and the Chidori. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw her use the Chidori for the first time, that was a very hype moment for me. With Sadara, she clearly has a lot of room to grow, especially if she's gonna become Hokage, so I expect to see way more impressive things from her as the Boruto series progresses. Those are all the big Uchihas that we actually have a significant amount of info about. Beyond these, there are some others that haven't been highlighted as much and haven't played as big of a role in the series. There's Fugaku Uchiha, the father of Itachi and Sasuke, who was the head of the Uchiha clan and the leader of the Konoha military police force. In the novels, Fugaku was said to be a rare genius. He was so talented that people compared him to Minato Namikaze and the Legendary Three, which adds another parallel between Sasuke and Naruto, since their fathers were comparable just as they were. In fact, some Uchihas felt like Fugaku should have become the fourth Hokage instead of Minato. Fugaku could notably produce an especially massive Great Fireball, and he had obviously awakened the Sharingan. In the anime, he awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan, and he believed that he was strong enough to control the Nine Tails. It's also worth mentioning that Mikoto Uchiha, Sasuke's mom, was a Jonin. Then there's Itachi's almost girlfriend, Izumi, who awakened her Sharingan even before Itachi. She was especially good at taijutsu, and she graduated a year earlier than others, but she did have trouble with chakra levels. Using her Sharingan would cause her to faint rather quickly. Keep in mind, Izumi was featured in the novels and in the anime, and the two sources differ in their details. I definitely recommend the novels if you want to learn more about her. Izuna Uchiha was the Tobirama of the Uchiha clan. He was Madara's brother, and together they were considered to be the two strongest Uchihas of their time. He did awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan, although we don't know what its unique powers were. He then gave his eyes to Madara so that Madara could gain the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan eyes and use them to protect the Uchihas. In the anime, we also learned an interesting amount about Kagami Uchiha, contemporary of the 3rd Hokage and Danzo. He saved Danzo multiple times, and Shisui said that he was inferior to Kagami. Shisui was actually Kagami's descendant. Again, we should take all these details with a grain of salt because they're not in the original manga, but I thought they were interesting enough to add here. And that's pretty much it for the Uchihas that we know enough about for me to talk about in this video. Thank you for watching and sticking through to the end. It's much appreciated, especially since this probably will turn out to be a long video. If you did enjoy it and want to see more like it for other clans, then use the body flicker technique to turn that like button blue and share this video with your Naruto loving friends. As soon as we hit 4,000 likes, that's right, 4,000 on this one, I'll get started on the next Naruto video ASAP. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe, and this is crucial, hit that notification bell or you will miss future Naruto videos. As always, leave video suggestions for clans and or specific characters you'd like to see me cover next in the comments, and who knows, I may get to all of your glorious ideas eventually. Lastly, the YouTube ad rates have significantly dropped recently, so the help and support we're getting from our Anime Outpour patrons is now more important than ever. A very special thank you goes out to our patrons over on Patreon who help us survive these YouTube issues and who help make videos like this one possible. First and foremost, I want to thank the legend, acknowledged by Lord Twigo himself, Efren A, and the 1-tier patrons, the ones who stand atop all clans: Steven Ingrata, Alola Natem, The World, Steelers, Acquire Respect, Pate Hefa, Jonathan King, Desi D, Brandon Aviles, Papa Smurf, The School Bus, King Riser, Emperor Otaku, Richie Martinez, and Thomas Jones. And our Pro Hero tier patrons, the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, King Zelgis, Anatoly Kazatsky, Angel Cruz, Cricket XP, Joe Stanton, Very Gucci, Alicia Actor, Jessica Kayla Fawn, Hinokami and Water, Bonnie Park, Zodiar 12, Rethuin Deora, Tien Huang, Cynical, Kraken, Fulgus77, and Deadly Saint. Thank you all so much. If you enjoy our work, you can support more of it by going over to patreon.com/animeoutpour and becoming a patron today for as little as $1. If you do so, you'll get your name featured in future videos alongside these amazing people right here, and you'll even get access to our private patron-only Discord where we talk about anime, life, and of course, dank memes. So check out patreon.com/animeoutpour, link in the description if you're interested. You can also now join the YouTube channel and support more content that way if you prefer. Whichever way you choose to support us, you can get the same great benefits. Thanks again, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.